Hey guys, it's Cameron with De Facto here. I had given a talk not that long ago on MVVM. In it I had mentioned a framework called MVVM Light, and this was what I used as my first MVVM framework. So today I just wanted to give you guys a quick run through to just bring you up to speed on how to use this tool effectively. I wasn't going to do a whole presentation. I just haven't gotten that far in it, but I think it's just important to get started and work your way from there. So there's a couple different ways you can download MVVM Light. One is the old school way. I'll call it the old school way, and that's just you go to the site and you download it. There's also NuGet. You can add the binaries. I think you can actually download those straight from the site as well and add them to your project. But NuGet, pretty much does the same thing and manages it for you. I just like my project templates and item templates and code snippets, which is what you get if you use like the big installer from the, I guess not big, but the official installer from the Galasoft site. So I just installed that. I created a new project, and this new project was one of the template ones, which is an MVVM Light WPF project, which is pretty much just a WPF project with a bunch of stuff added in and wired up for you kind of already to give you a first kind of view model all ready to go. So I've just done that so far. I also had a little bit of a reference issue, so if you do need to find the binaries anywhere or any of the stuff, you can find it in the program files under Galasoft, I believe it is. There's an MVVM Light folder, and in there are the binaries. The snippets are in your snippets folder, and the templates are in the templates folder that you kind of specify, well, that are default for Visual Studio, I think. So anyway, so that's how you install it. Probably the easiest part of the entire process. Okay, here we go. We're inside, and we see right away 3 new folders. You can probably guess what these are for, so I'm not going to really spend too much time going through them. Okay, so the first thing that we have here is he starts you off with a view model locator. So I'm going to assume for the purposes of the kind of demo, you already know what a view model, everything is. If you haven't already learned what those are, I have a talk that does give them, and you'll be able to find a link somewhere, I'm sure. So yeah, that's just kind of the prerequisites, I guess. View model locator. So when you're making your vanilla MVVM app, in WPF, with no frameworks or anything like that, what you do end up getting is kind of a bunch of these view models with their associated views, and at some point you kind of got to be able to, I guess, manage them effectively. So a view model locator, what it does is it allows you to store all your view models and references to your view models in one place. And probably the greatest thing that this thing does is it helps with blendability. At least that's what the author of MVVM calls it. And blendability is the ability to also work with this project in Blend and not have it just constantly complain that it can't find this service or this took too long. I find that when you're moving between, when you're opening up an entire application in Blend, sometimes it crashes a lot. And so what the author of MVVM Light did is he said, well, that sucks, right? You can't really see your test data or anything like that. So what he did is he made this InDesign mode that all of your view models are going to be under. We'll go over that in a bit. But basically what you can do is with this locator and with his InDesign mode kind of flag that he's devised, you can hook everything up and then basically say, hey, view model, when you're in design mode, this is actually the data that you're going to use. It's going to be nice and static, no service calls, no, nothing crazy, and that just allows Blend to really resolve that really easily. Also your your Visual Studio, and you'll find that like your time between switching between views is just like next to nothing, and blendability makes working with Blend just really nice. It really is not fun when Blend is just constantly throwing exceptions because of your view models. So that's why we kind of use this view model locator. As well, it kind of gives us a place to also centralize our dependency injection if we needed to do that. Dependency injection here is a lot easier than dependency injection in 20 places. So I mean, there's a million and one reasons that you want to use a view model. Well, maybe not a million and one, but you get the idea. So a lot of comments, and these comments I don't even believe are really meant to be human readable. I believe they're supposed to be HTML format. But you can read through those, I guess, on your own time. So the first thing that we'll do here is we'll go over this design mode thing that I was talking about. So let's uncomment this code here. We'll bring in the appropriate references. So this is saying basically in the constructor of this view model locator, you're going to have this in design mode. So when you're in design mode, do this. When you're not, do this. And so maybe you need to do a bunch of extra logic to set up a bunch of data or generate data, to distribute, or I'm not even sure what you might want to use this for. There's, I'm sure, plenty of reasons, but this is where this goes. And so again, this is this blendability idea. And it's really important to get the stuff sorted out at the beginning, because you don't want to have to go back and make test data for 20 view models. Do it now, make it really simple, and you'll find that when it comes time to design, if you are doing your design after development, it makes it a lot easier. I mean, ideally you'd want to do it at the same time, but. So we now have this main static, and so what this is basically saying is, create main if it's null. So as soon as you reference your main static view model, it's going to create it for you. And this is kind of the way that he does it with all of his view models. You then, here, just return main static. You have a clear main. And so every view model base, when you derive from view model base, you get a cleanup method that is used to help clean your view model up. So maybe it's just not enough to dispose of your view model. Maybe it's just in your cleanup. Maybe you don't need to let go of unmanaged resources. Maybe you just need to clean up a couple things in order to get it ready for the next time that it's ever being used. Again, I mean, there's plenty of reasons that you would want to separate the two. Then I have create method, and that just creates a new one. If you want to do dependency injection, you just got to replace this little line right here, and then cleanup. And so cleanup here, there's a cleanup on your view model base. There's also a cleanup here, and that's for clearing up, again, all your view models at once. For example, I throw all my clears into this method here, and then just one call, and I've wiped all the data. Any unmanaged resources that I have on any of my view models is cleaned up, and now I'm ready to actually shut my application down, and I can do it in relative safety. So that's your view model locator. I think you duplicate this stuff here for every view model. Feel free to modify the snippets to take these comments out. I know a lot of people don't really like comments and whatnot, so you can really kind of compact it down if you want to. Okay, so we've got the view model locator. Let's take a look at his view model that he's created for us. And this is really simple. We got this in design mode flag that I had referenced earlier. So again, you're kind of going through the application. You're saying, hey, when I'm going to be designing against you, how should you behave? And he's really driving home this great idea of blendability, which is make sure that you can work and blend with this stuff. So use that. You also have a cleanup method that's commented out, and so same thing. You can override it from the base, and then add a bunch of resources, unmanaged resources. Let's say, or not. Maybe you want to use dispose for that, but clean it for something else. It's again up to you. And I think that's about it. Oh, you have here closing and the cleanup. So again, when you're dealing with your windows, in this case this is a window, you're having to deal with cleaning up the view model that window looks at. Now the reason is because every time that you create a view, you don't create a new view model. In vanilla MVVM, that's typically what you would do. Your instance of your view model would actually live in your view, and then when you shut your view down, it would dispose of all of its own resources. But in this case, because it's static and it's across the entire application in scope, view model locator will hold on to that instance of main view model for as long as view model locator hasn't cleaned it up or itself become cleaned up. And so what you'll find is that maybe you make some modifications to a view model, you shut that window down, and then you start you pull up the same form again, and all your data's still there. That's why. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning these up, these view models, and you do that in your code behind. Some people say, oh, MVVM, no code behind, purists, everything in moderation. If you want, you could make some fancy thing to get rid of this line, but I think it's just kind of, easier to stick it there, and don't worry about it. So he's got a skin in here as well, just a resource dictionary. So he likes skins. I mean, you can do themes, however you want to call them and name them. It's up to you. So that right there, dispatcher helper, right? This is talking about UI thread stuff. So that's also something as well that he's thrown in there, and that's an MVVM Light thing as well. It's in this threading namespace. Okay, so that is it for how he's gone ahead and just set this up initially. So now the next thing that we probably need to do is create view models, create views, etc. But first, let's actually modify an existing view model, and we'll show you some of the snippets that he uses that can make your life a little bit easier. So in main view model, you can see here we have welcome. Now this is get only, so we don't really have to worry about property change notifications too much. We would have to maybe worry about it if we were changing that value at all. But in order to add a property, he's given us this really sweet snippet called MVVM INPC. Hit tab. Boom. There we go. So you can resolve your references. But here we go. So we have this snippet here. So what he's done is he's gone ahead, he takes his property names and he puts them up in this constant. And so he'll reference this when he uses when you go and you do your messaging. You have some dynamic, I guess, comments that you want to clean up, depending on how you kind of handle your property change down here. We've got a getter, setter. So here what he does is he wants you to clear this one, and then decide how you're going to update your bindings. So when you're dealing with your bindings, these bindings also make use of a messenger class. Well, it can make use of a messenger class. Raise property changed with just a property name is kind of local. So it's local only to this. It'll only use an iNotify property change notification. But this here, he's got this messaging, I guess, namespace. And so what this does is it's used with a messenger class that he provides with MVVM Light. And that's how you get two view models to talk to each other. So instead of having to kind of couple your views together, you can have them all separate. And then when something happens in one view model, you send a message to everybody, and whoever wants to listen to that message will receive it and do something with it on their end. So if you had a master details view, or an edit and a list view, or however you kind of wanted to set that up, let's say in your edit view you edit an item, and then you can just tell the entire application, hey, I changed this item. And anybody who might be who might care that item is actually being used, oh hey, well, I can pull the value out of the messenger, or maybe it's just a signal to go to the database and pull the data fresh again. But when I built a job tracking system using this framework, and it was really nice because I basically just said, hey, something happened with the quote system, and everybody who's listening, and by everybody I mean the classes, they're all little people in my application. Everybody said, oh hey, well, I deal with quotes. Let me go back to the database, pull data. So as soon as your user is clicking save, it cascades throughout your application, and within seconds, there you are. All your data's been updated. So, yeah. So when you want to broadcast a change to the entire application, just put it in here. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to delete that. We're just going to make it local for now. And then, because we don't ever, old value was used for broadcasting, the old and the new value, but we aren't going to use that. So we'll take it out, kind of clean it up a little bit. We'll update this documentation here. So if you refer to the comments, and if you keep up on this and you refer to the comments, you'll see how it's being broadcast. We'll take this out, not necessary. There we go. So that's my property. So that's how you're going to create a property. Handles the property changed for you, has this nice little constant. Remember to change this if you changed this. If you use like resharper, I use resharper, change this. This will not update, and then all of a sudden it will tell you that it can't find my property, even though you've renamed it to my property A. So that's something to be careful for as well. So that's how you kind of add a property onto a view model using MVVM Light, is through that MVVM INPC code snippet. And INPC stands for iNotify Property Changed. Okay, so let's create a new view model. We're going to add a new item. You can see here MVVM view model. So we're going to say new view model. We'll add that in. Here we go. So you can see this in design mode. You can delete it if you want. You can uncomment it. You can just leave it there, whatever. Here, we'll add a view. And you might want to put your views all in the same folder. If you put them in the root and you have a lot of stuff, then it'll end up becoming a little bit of a pain. The application that I'm making has hundreds of screens that span all sorts of different areas, and so it's sometimes important to keep it all cleaned up. So test. Sorry, that should not be view. So if you want to move, man, I'm just not right at all on that one. There we go. New view. Okay, now we add it. You got to change this. New view model. So another thing about using this view model locator kind of idea with an application level resource, this locator again, we saw in the app XAML, it's application level, is it'll tell you, hey, I can't find it. Squiggly lines cannot resolve member. This one here, squiggly lines, because we haven't built yet. But this new view model, it knows right away. So we can head over into our view model locator. Oh great, gotta redo all this, right? Well, no, you don't. Give it a couple space. MVVM Locator property. A little bit of a mouthful, but it does the trick. So you get to use these fields, and you can say, oh, new view model, and we're going to call it new view model. Let's call it new view model. New view model property name. So we'll give it new view model. There we go. All done up. Again, dependency injection. You would just change this. Bam. You can use dependency injection. Here in cleanup, this is replicating up here. It's the same thing. And so what I do is I'll just take this, and I'll move it up here, and I'll clean this up. As well, I guess if we're, when we were talking about dependency injection, I'm using version 3 in this demo, but version 4 has a simple IOC container that he threw in with that, so it just makes it that much easier to kind of get going with dependency injection, which is great for view models, seeing as they're basically just classes. Okay, so we've kind of added this. If we go back to our new view, no squiggly line. So again, you can kind of make sure that even though this isn't strongly typed the XAML, that you can try to get as much kind of the strongly typed advantages, such as knowing when your names are incorrect and whatnot. So there we go. That we could start binding, and we could do all sorts of stuff. So let's throw a quick text box on here. What we'll do is we'll go to this new view model. We'll throw INPC property on here. And we're going to go my text. We're going to call this a string. My text. Done. Oh, whoops. There we go. We'll make it local for now. There we go. We'll go ahead, we'll go to the new view. And you can just do my text. If you go A, for example, again, notice this cannot resolve it. So here you go. It's kind of nice to know what's wrong, what's not. The only time at which you would not get this kind of highlighting, letting you know, is if you set the data context for an object, and then one of the properties that was affected by that, you kind of need to reach outside of that object. So for example, if you had a grid, and you set the data context of that grid to a collection on your view model, that will work. However, if you want to bind one of the properties on the grid, let's say the ability to add stuff, if you wanted to bind the can user add rows to a property on the view model, because that data context has been set at the grid level already, it's going to have a little bit of a problem kind of getting around that. It's almost kind of trapped inside that data context. In order to get out of that, what you would do is you would give a name to grid, you would set the element name to the grid's name, and then you would just point to data context dot whatever your property name is. If you do it that way, the problem that you're going to end up having is that you get those squiggly lines because it just doesn't know. I guess it's just not that smart to take a look at data context, which can be anything, and go into here, find new view model, and verify it. I guess it just doesn't follow through enough in design mode. So that's going to be the problem that you kind of end up with. So if you want, you can try to avoid data context. It makes things a little bit easier, but at the same time doesn't. Kind of 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other. Okay, so we've made this. We've got it all wired up. Here in our view model locator, we have our view model. Now let's say we want to send a message from one view model to the next. So we have main view model, and we have new view model. And we want to, let's say, take my text, right, which, forgot here, we'll set the mode is equal to two-way. Let's say we wanted to type some text into here, and when we lose focus, we wanted it to go ahead and change what's in the main window. Well, the way that we would do that is we would go into main view model. We will take this out. Okay, we'll make this one local as well. Now you can do this all through that second binding that he puts down here. The second raise property changed. But I wanted to show you guys the messenger class. I tend to find that a little bit more flexible and easier to kind of add a categorization mechanism, I guess, to the notifications. Again, you know, my application that I was building ended up being hundreds of screens, and you really have to categorize your messages because it'll kill you in processing power if you're sitting there and every view model that registers for any sort of message is getting thousands of them. You know, for example, in the quote system, you might have 30 or 40 different notifications for what a quote might do. So it can end up being a little bit crazy. So I tend to categorize them and therefore use this messenger object. But we've gone ahead, we've added this welcome. So now we're going to end up binding to it in our main view. So if we go to our new view model and we say, oh, well, every time that this happens, we're going to use this messenger class. And we're going to use the default instance. And so that is static, or at least kind of singleton, I guess you could call it. So you can use it right out of the box, just messenger.default, go ahead and use it. I prefer to inject it into my classes so that when I'm unit testing with a unit testing framework such as mock, like one of the proxies, then you can go ahead and just make sure that your behavior is a-okay. But go ahead, messenger.default.send, and now you can get a type, or not type, but it really it likes a type, so we're just going to use send. We're going to send the message of hello, and we can add a token too. So this is actually the other way around, I guess. I want to send the token of hello, and the message is going to be my text. The token and the message. The token is what you will use to kind of identify that message. So for example, if you were sending a message out about the quote system, I use token to, and I call it quotes, and I'll use the token quotes. And anybody who wants to listen in on quote events can listen to the token. So that's how you kind of register. I'll actually just go ahead and show it to you right now. If we go to the main view model, and we go here, the real code, and we say messenger, .default, and now here we go, we register. And so the recipient is me, the token, hello, and now we can take an action. I'm going to use this constructor right here. I love my lambda expressions. I use them in everything. And so here we go. And so when I receive a message with the token of hello, what should I do? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say welcome is equal to the message. This doesn't know the type off the bat, so whoops. I'm going to be sending a string. There we go. And now message is a string. There we go. Okay. And if I run, when I run this, new view model is going to set my text. It's going to send it through the messenger class. Main view model, which in its constructor is going to register for that event, will receive the message and it will set its text. So the last thing that we need to do is we actually need to go ahead and throw our views together so we can see them at the same time. So main window is a window, and view model, or sorry, the new view, also a window. How do you get around having to create one from the other? Personally, I inject, as you can tell I'm a fan of dependency injection, I inject some sort of window manager, I guess, that will sit there and take requests for windows. However, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and we're going to turn new view and main window into user controls. Don't forget to go back here. So when you're changing your types, you got to go into your code behind and remove this declaration of the base class. But I use this all the time for going ahead and just making whatever I want into a view. No, stop complaining. I find that it's really nice to be able to create, for example, a combo box that's MVVM, or create. I use all user controls, and then I do my window management apart from my views. So you can see here everything. We're going to remove this. Okay, so everything seems to build. I'm actually just going to go ahead and build that. Probably should have done that a while ago. Holy crow. It's a lot of errors. There we go. I installed the .NET 4. We'll just give it a sec. There we go. Succeed. We'll even just run it, just to verify. I'm not going to lie, I didn't even get this ready before, so I'll be surprised whether or not it actually works. Okay, so we've got nothing here, but that makes sense. Reason is because this is user control, and I didn't actually hook anything up. So I'm going to go to my app XAML here. My startup URI is user control. I'm going to add a window, test window. Okay. And now we can go, we'll call this the view namespace. So we create a view, and we add a view to here. And the reason is because the view is going to go ahead, it's going to ask for the view model from the resource locator, or sorry, from the view model locator, which is going to go ahead, turn around and create it. If you're using dependency injection, it's going to use that to get an object and do all that fancy stuff for you. I will go to the app XAML here, and we'll just say test window, and we'll go ahead and run it. So as you can see, it's one big text box, because I haven't gone ahead and, sorry about this, we'll just go ahead, go into test window, throw them in a stack panel. There we go, that little one up top, main window down here. Now let's run it and see what it does. Tab out. Oh, apparently I can't tab out. So what we'll do is we'll change this to update the source trigger on property change, so that'll do it on every keystroke. Back here, check my main window. That everything looks good. I'm bound to welcome my view model. That's a property called welcome. So we'll run this again and see what happens. There we go. Oh, look at that. I would have had to start all over again had this not worked. So we can see here, boom, it works. So that's just really the basic how to get MVVM Light off the ground demo. How to get two view models talking to each other, which I think is one of the earliest things that a lot of us have to do. So that's just kind of a run through. There's not a whole lot that I know about this framework more than that. That I needed to get started. There's a couple quirks and tricks, but basically I use that as the bricks and mortar of my application. And like I said, I mean, I've built hundreds of screens, and even though it can you know, be a little bit of a pain to scale out, you got to create, you know, a window management and everything like that. This is probably I would say, you know, the basics of what you got to do, and this will take you off to create great applications in MVVM. So I hope that you learned something from this. As always, you know, if you have any sort of questions, go ahead and ask. I love doing videos and teaching people and learn about stuff. So if you have a question, shoot. Thanks a lot.